Okay, here's the honest truth. The rich don't brag about money. And the loudest people in the room usually have the least amount of it. Because when you really think about it, social media has conditioned us to believe that the more materialistic things you can show off, the richer you're perceived. They'll flex the new car on Instagram, post the hustle quote, and remind you they're grinding 24/7. Meanwhile, the real millionaires, they're quietly sitting in the corner wearing a plain black t-shirt, sipping water and saying absolutely nothing. And honestly, the real reason is because money doesn't need an audience. But there's an even deeper reason for this silence, one that goes far beyond humility. It's a mindset, a system, and once you understand it, you'll never look at wealth, confidence, or success the same way again. So my goal for this video is to break it down into 10 reasons the rich never brag about money and why the quiet ones always win. So let's get straight into it. Number 1, the rich play an invisible game. Look, here's the reality and something everyone needs to understand. The average person thinks money is a status symbol. The rich see it as a control mechanism. Seriously, broke people brag to prove they have value. Rich people stay silent because they already control the value. And let me paint a picture so you can understand this clearly. Think of it like this. If you walk into a casino, the guy at the table throwing chips around looks rich. But the real wealth belongs to the guy who owns the casino. He doesn't need to flash, he is the flash. That's how the wealthy move in real life. They don't want to be seen winning. They want to keep playing while everyone else is busy trying to look impressive. Because the moment you brag, you lose control of the game. You reveal your cards, you invite envy, competition, and unnecessary attention from people who aren't playing your level. Quiet wealth equals power without noise. They don't post paychecks. They post assets that quietly print more of them. They don't show off watches. They buy time by owning their time. That's why they look so calm, because when you're truly free, you don't need applause. But here's what most people don't realize. The rich used to brag until they learned a painful truth that completely flipped their mindset. Reason number 2, bragging invites predators, not respect. Now here's one I had to figure out the hard way. The louder you are about your success, the more people come for a piece of it. That's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition. Brag about your new car? You just told people what you owe. Brag about your income? You just told people what they can ask you for. Brag about your investments? You just told scammers what to target. Every time someone flexes, they don't look powerful. They look vulnerable. Because in the real world, bragging is a signal, and signals attract sharks. That's why the rich hide their moves in plain sight. They talk about ideas, not purchases. They fund projects, not parties. They brag about what they built, not what they bought. Here's a real-world example. Warren Buffett lives in the same house he bought in 1958. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray shirt every day. They could drown the world in luxury. But why would they? Because when you've already won the game, you stop trying to impress the audience. And the irony? The moment you stop trying to look rich, that's when you actually become rich. But the silence isn't just protection, it's also strategy. And that leads to the next reason the rich never brag. Reason number 3, flexing reveals weakness, and they know it. Let me explain something important about money. Bragging about money is the financial version of insecurity. It's the same energy as someone name-dropping at a party. If you really belong, you don't have to say it. When people post their wins, they're not celebrating. They're seeking validation, and the rich know that validation is expensive. Think of it like a magician revealing his trick. The power disappears the moment you explain it. Rich people are allergic to that kind of exposure. They'd rather let people assume than explain, because mystery creates respect, and respect creates leverage. That's why they stay understated. They let curiosity work for them. A quiet man in a plain car sparks more curiosity than a loud guy in a rented Lamborghini ever could. Here's an example. You ever meet someone who doesn't say much, but you can just feel they're successful? Like there's something about them that you can't quite figure out. That's stealth wealth. That's control. Because when you control your image, you control the narrative. And in today's world, perception is currency. The rich know it's smarter to let others guess what you're worth than to show them the receipt. And I need to address something real quick. Most people will watch this video and go about their lives the exact same way. And it's not just this. If you're serious about living the stealth wealth lifestyle, then we've created an entire playlist on the fundamentals of financial freedom. Go back and watch those videos and make sure to subscribe to the channel to always stay updated. But anyways, see, there's another layer to this silence, one most people never consider, because sometimes the reason the rich don't brag isn't about power. It's about psychology. Reason number 4, silence keeps their leverage. Pay attention, because here's what most people don't realize. In money, leverage is everything. And the moment you open your mouth, you give some of it away. Think about it. If people know exactly how much you make, what you own, or what you're investing in, they can use that information against you. Suddenly, every negotiation becomes harder. Every conversation changes tone. That's why the rich stay quiet. They know that mystery is leverage. If you don't know how much someone's worth, you can't position yourself above or below them. You have to treat them normally. And that's the ultimate power move, to be underestimated. Because when people think you're average, you can move through the world without friction. Deals come easier. Opportunities appear naturally. No one's guarding their cards around you because they don't even realize you're holding an ace. Let me give you a real example. Have you ever heard of the millionaire next door? It's not a myth. It's a strategy. These are the quiet millionaires who drive average cars, live in middle-class neighborhoods, and blend in with the crowd. They don't brag because their stealth is their advantage. While everyone else is chasing status, they're quietly stacking equity, freedom, and peace of mind. But there's another reason the rich stay quiet, one that's more emotional than strategic. Because at some point, bragging doesn't just cost leverage, it costs happiness. Reason number 5. True wealth buys peace, not attention. If you've ever struggled financially, peace probably sounds like a luxury. But to the rich, it's the only luxury that matters. When you've already hit the financial goals everyone dreams about, you realize something brutal. Attention doesn't feel like validation anymore. It feels like noise. Every time you flash wealth, you attract opinions, expectations, and sometimes hate. Everyone suddenly has an opinion on your life, what you should do, how you should spend, who you should help. And that noise is exhausting. That's why real wealth is quiet, because peace of mind is worth more than applause. Remember when you were younger and you thought making it meant people would finally respect you? The rich learn that's false. People respect mystery, not explanation, so they choose a quieter path, the one where the only approval that matters comes from their bank account, not a comment section. And here's the paradox. The more they chase peace, the more wealth follows, because peace brings focus, and focus compounds. That's the invisible currency most people never notice. And it's the reason the rich never waste energy proving anything. But don't get it twisted. This silence isn't passive. It's actually one of the most aggressive wealth-building moves there is. Reason number 6. Quiet moves protect massive plans. Flexers post their wins as soon as they happen. The rich, they post after the move is done, if they even post at all, because they understand timing, and timing is everything in wealth. If you tell the world your next business idea, investment, or real estate play, you just gave away your competitive edge. Now your followers become your competitors. So the rich play a different game. They move in silence, then let results make the noise later. Jeff Bezos once said, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room." That's exactly why rich people keep the room empty until the deal is sealed. When no one knows your next move, no one can stop it. No envy, no sabotage, no distractions. And here's the thing. Silence creates suspense. When people can't predict your next step, they assume you're always doing something big. That mystery keeps your perceived value rising without you ever having to brag. It's like playing poker with sunglasses on. Everyone's trying to read your face, but you're calm, collected, and unreadable. That's how power works in the wealth game. Opacity equals protection. But there's another layer to this silence, one that flips the entire social dynamic upside down. Because when everyone's shouting about success, being quiet becomes rebellion. Reason number 7. In a world full of noise, silence is status. Let's be real. You see it literally every single day. Just go on social media right now. You know it's chaos. Everyone's selling, shouting, proving, comparing. The more the world gets addicted to flexing, the rarer quiet confidence becomes. And rarity is status. That's the secret currency of the ultra-rich, scarcity. When everyone's desperate to be seen, the person who can afford to stay unseen automatically looks more powerful. It's the same reason luxury brands release limited drops or never go on sale. Scarcity signals value. The rich apply that to themselves. They don't need to show off because their absence does it for them. Their time is scarce. Their attention is scarce. And when they finally speak, everyone listens. That's the irony. The fewer words they use, the louder they sound. It's power by subtraction, and that power is only growing in a world obsessed with overexposure. I mean, stop and really think about it. Billionaires like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos not only tweet selectively, but when they do, markets move. That's not by coincidence. That's calculated scarcity. The less you say, the more your words weigh. But the silence isn't just for image, it's for protection. And not from people, but from themselves. Because the rich know the loudest enemy to wealth isn't outside, it's internal. Reason number 8, they don't need validation, they need velocity. Let me give you a golden piece of advice I want you to remember for the rest of your life. At a certain level of success, bragging doesn't just slow you down, it kills your momentum. Because the moment you start looking for validation, you stop chasing vision. And the rich understand this brutally simple truth. Attention is a detour disguised as a destination. See, validation feels like progress, but it's not. It's like getting applause for running a lap when you're supposed to run a marathon. It tricks your brain into thinking you've made it, so you stop pushing. That's why rich people are allergic to attention. It ruins their flow. They'd rather keep stacking quietly than post every win for likes. Look at athletes like Mike Tyson who go broke after they start flexing every paycheck. They start performing for the crowd instead of perfecting their craft. The same thing happens with money. Once you start performing for applause, you stop performing for growth. The rich stay obsessed with velocity, not vanity. Because wealth compounds in silence. Every second you spend showing off is a second you could have spent scaling up. For example, while the average influencer is busy editing a day in the life vlog, the quiet investor is buying the building that influencer films in. But there's a deeper reason bragging destroys wealth, and it's not about money at all. It's about energy. Reason number 9. The energy of flexing is the opposite of wealth. Time to get brutally honest for a minute, so stay with me. Bragging screams, "I need your approval." Wealth whispers, "I'm good either way." These are two completely different energies, and they attract completely different outcomes. Rich people understand that wealth isn't just dollars, it's discipline, and discipline requires emotional control. The moment you start bragging, you lose that control. You start chasing feedback, attention, comparison, and that spiral costs more than any luxury car ever could. When you brag, you spend emotional energy instead of compounding it. When you flex, you're saying, "Look at me," instead of, "I'm building something bigger." That's why the rich protect their peace like an investment portfolio. They guard their energy because it determines their next move. It's not that they don't enjoy luxury. They do. They just don't need to broadcast it to feel it. They can wear a $10,000 watch and never mention it because they bought it for themselves, not for your opinion. And here's the funny part. That energy, that self-assured, quiet confidence, actually attracts more opportunities than flexing ever could. People trust quiet power. They're suspicious of loud insecurity. And that brings us to the final reason, the core truth behind all of it. Because at the end of the day, the rich don't brag for one simple reason. They know what money really means. Reason number 10. They understand money is just a tool. Seriously, this is the biggest difference between the rich and everyone else. For most people, money is identity. It's who they are, how they measure their worth, how they prove they matter. For the rich, money is just a tool, a vehicle to build, protect, and experience life on their terms. They don't brag about money for the same reason a carpenter doesn't brag about his hammer. It's not the tool that matters, it's what you build with it. They've evolved past the ego stage of wealth. They don't need the look-rich dopamine hits. They're addicted to the stay-free kind of peace. That's why they reinvest instead of repost. They build assets instead of audiences. They focus on impact instead of impression. Because they know something most people don't. If you're still trying to prove you're rich, you're not there yet. The people who've truly mastered money rarely mention it at all. They've learned that silence isn't emptiness. It's control, it's power, it's freedom. And when you finally reach that level of control, something shifts inside you. You stop chasing attention. You start chasing alignment. You stop asking, "How can I look rich?" and start asking, "How can I live rich?" Bottom line, each and every one of these rules builds on the same foundation. Real wealth is invisible because the richest people don't need the world to know. They just need the freedom to live. So next time you see someone online flexing their success, just remember this: the louder the brag, the smaller the bag. Real wealth whispers. It moves quietly, invests consistently, and compounds relentlessly. And when it finally speaks, it doesn't need words. The lifestyle does all the talking. If you're serious about building that kind of quiet power, start today. Stop trying to prove, start trying to move. Build assets. Buy your freedom. Protect your peace. Because the goal isn't to look rich, it's to live rich, silently. If this video opened your eyes, please comment below with the words stealth wealth if you're done chasing validation and ready to build your freedom quietly. And as a matter of fact, there are quiet rules of wealth out there that simply never get explained. This next video is where we'll break down the unspoken money laws that turn everyday people into silent millionaires. One smart move at a time. Just click the video on the screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.